welcome to the first episode of the Economy PT series. Let's begin with the first topic, that is SWIFT messaging system that has been in the news because of Russian-Ukraine war, and that is why we need to know about it. First is US and European Commission has excluded several Russian banks from the SWIFT messaging system. Now remember, SWIFT is a messaging system and it is in response to counter Russia's war over Ukraine. This is of course a well-known fact. Russian currency ruble fell and a record low for the currency because transactions were not happening because of this messaging system, and this is one of the reasons. SWIFT is an acronym for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Remember this very well. And it's a trusted messaging system for banks and other financial institutions around the world. For example, I will tell you with the help of the diagram. Okay, now it is headquartered in Belgium, and what is its year of establishment? It's 1973. And this is the logo, you can see the graph of it. Now, if we talk about more features of the SWIFT messaging system, it leads overseer is the National Bank of Belgium. Lead overseer, that means under the jurisdiction kind of. And SWIFT Oversight Forum was established only in the year 2012. How many members are there? There are 10 members of it. Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Netherlands, Sweden, Switzerland, United Kingdom, United States. So you have to learn the important economies of the world with respect to the SWIFT system. India is not a member of it. India is not a part of it. Remember this. Okay. So it is controlled by the central banks of the G10 countries, and the part of it, that means the governance. So central banks of the G10 countries, the European Central Bank and the National Bank of Belgium, these are the basic structure. This is the basic structure of the SWIFT system. There are about 11,000 member banks. There is about 11,000 member banks in 200 countries that use SWIFT, and India's financial system has access to SWIFT. So for governance, it's not there. It's a part of the SWIFT system when it comes to transaction. Okay. Prior to SWIFT, the only reliable means of message of confirmation for the international funds was telex. Remember that, or telex can be also said. Okay. So these are messaging system like we have Paytm. Similarly, we have the SWIFT system for international banks. Okay, working of SWIFT, how does it do? It is an important component of SWIFT messaging system is the SWIFT code. What is it? The SWIFT code is the important component of the messaging system, and each bank that is participating in this proper system is assigned this proper code. Okay, so the person or the bank, the bank is assigned a code, and it has how many characters? 8 characters. Okay, also if you see this messaging system, how it happens. Suppose we have two banks, the one who is the bank who is sending the money, and the second one is receiver. Okay, so whenever a transaction has to take place, so many billions and billions of dollars, what happens? That the person one, suppose this is US, it has the account with SWIFT, it will ask the bank to transfer the money, and it will do so with the help of SWIFT messaging system, and then it has been received. Now, if Russia goes away from the picture, what will happen? Russia will not have access to SWIFT system. That means if it wants to trade and have commerce with any country, it will not have the convenience of having a SWIFT messaging system. Similarly, if I want to pay my friend, I have Paytm, the person has nothing, then I do not have cash. International economies cannot go and give briefs of cash to the countries. So similarly, if I do not have cash, then what will the person do? The person will not want to have any trade with me. So this is the very simple thing about SWIFT system. So Russia system for transfer of financial messages, this is one of the alternatives for China. It is cross-border interbank payment system. So there are two countries who have this particular system that wants to bypass SWIFT. Remember that, Russia and China both. Now let's move on to standing deposit facility. So standing deposit facility in very simple terms is a tool to curb liquidity in the market. The RBI can let the banks park the deposit with itself without giving government securities in exchange. Okay, so you see RBI has introduced the standing deposit facility, and it is an additional tool for absorbing liquidity. In 2018, the amended section 17 of the RBI Act empowered the RBI to introduce the SDF. That means which section? Section 17 of which Act? RBI Act. Okay. Moving on, if we talk about standing deposit facility, an additional tool for absorbing liquidity without any collateral, as I told you, without government securities. Government securities will not be used here. It strengthens the operating framework for monetary policy, and also a financial stability tool. So if there is excess of liquidity and that is not absorbed by other tools, we can also use SDF, standing deposit facility. Okay, then it replaces the fixed rate reverse repo. Okay, now remember that it has replaced, which tool has replaced fixed rate reverse repo? Standing deposit facility as the floor of the liquidity adjustment facility corridor, and marginal standing facility and the SDF, the both are available on the days of the week. When they are available? Days of the week throughout the year. So remember. Now if we talk about marginal standing facility, it is a tool that has been established by the RBI if the central banks, commercial banks want to have overnight liquidity, and if the liquidity adjustment facility, interbank liquidity adjustment facility has dried up, then the banks can go for marginal standing facility. Main purpose, let's see the main purpose of SDF: to reduce excess liquidity of rupees 8.5 lakh crore in this system, and also to control inflation. Whenever the liquidity is controlled, the inflation will come down because the demand will come down. Too much money chasing too few goods. This theory holds right. Okay. Then SDF rate will be 25 BPS below the policy rate, that is the repo rate. So whenever the repo rate changes, SDF will also change. Repo rate is the rate at which the banks borrow money from the RBI. Okay. And it will be applicable to overnight deposit at the stage. Retains flexibility to absorb liquidity of longer tenures. So not for shorter tenures, remember this point, for longer tenure with appropriate pricing. Okay. Now let's talk about MasterCard, which was banned by the RBI because it was not abiding by the rules of the country. RBI has banned MasterCard for issuing new cards to the customer, and it has lost a lot of consumer base in India. So American Express and Diners Club International were also banned by RBI. It bans unsettled bank operating in India that uses MasterCard services. Okay. So reason, what is the reason? It failed to comply with the local data storage rules which were announced by the central bank in the year 2018. So it was said by the central bank that if you're using our customers' details, please store their information in India, because data is power. Data privacy, data manufacturing has a huge role to play in the digital economy. So they did not do so. Foreign card companies, they had to store complete information about transactions which have been made by Indian customers in several locations within India. Local storage of consumer data is necessary to protect their privacy and also to know the important security concerns, because if our data will get leaked to some country with which we are war at, then it will create a lot of problem. Also, firms like MasterCard, they operate card network where, what is the act? PSS Act, that is Payment and Settlement System Act of 2007. This could be one of your prelims question. Remember the fact. It provides for regulation and supervision of payment system in India, and it designates RBI as the authority for the purpose. Not NPCI, RBI. Okay, and all related matters. Okay. So look at this previous year question. Consider the following statement. The Reserve Bank of India's recent directive relating to storage of payment system data, popularly known as data diktat, commands the payment system, provides that first is they shall ensure that entire data relating to payment system operated by them are stored in this system only in India. They shall ensure that the system are owned and operated by public sector enterprise. They shall submit the consolidated system audit report to the Comptroller and Auditor General of India by the end of the calendar year. So we have to select the correct statement. Only the first statement is correct. Okay, remember that. Moving on. If we talk about the next topic, that is agency bank. Let's know about it. So Dhanlakshmi Bank, it has been empaneled as an agency bank. Remember the name. And this has been done by whom? RBI. And this is Kerala's Thrissur-based private sector bank, not a public sector bank. It is based in Kerala. It's a private sector bank. And recently, some other banks have also been empaneled as agency banks, such as South Indian Bank. We have DCB Bank as well. Then we have Karnataka Bank, and IndusInd Bank. So remember the names of the agency banks. What are agency banks? These are also known as agent banks. By the name, you can understand that they undertake transactions which are related to the general banking business on behalf of the central as well as the state government. So I am the agent. If I am taking the transaction on behalf of the central government or the state government, I am an agent bank or agency bank. Now these banks usually work on behalf of another bank or group of banks. That is why they are known as agency bank. Like we have agents, LIC agent and the rest. So RBI carries out the general banking business by first is own offices and the offices of the agency bank. Because RBI has so much work to do, they also have to make sure that their work has not been hindered. So they have multiple agent banks. And under what section we are able to? I am RBI. Under what section am I able to empower to do so? Section 45 of the RBI Act 1934. The RBI can appoint any scheduled commercial bank. Remember, scheduled commercial bank under section 45 of the RBI Act. Okay, any place in the country. Remember that. So it could be only in Lucknow, only in Mumbai, no, any place. RBI can appoint agency for various purposes. First is banking convenience, to develop banks and related other factors. Financial inclusion can also be there. And accordingly, only designated branches of agency bank can have the power to conduct government banking business, no other bank, of course. Moving on, more about it. At present, all public sector banks and select private sector banks act as RBI agent. It could be a prelims question. Only the public sector banks can act as RBI's agent bank. No, private banks can also do so. Accredited banks are paid remuneration by the RBI by conducting government transaction. Okay, for conducting government transaction, if I am conducting any government transaction, I am an agency, then what will happen? RBI will pay me the remuneration for it. That is why I will do it, of course. And it is called agency commission. By what name? Agency commission. And these banks also undertake the work related to small saving schemes. Remember that. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the type of agency bank. Foreign agents banks are there. They do business in any other country on the behalf of the parent bank. Investment bank is there. They serve as an agent of the bank on institutional investment deals such as syndicated loans. Okay, and then we have third party agent bank. And to launch new services in any area or in any business, they act as a support of the agent bank. So these are third party agent banks. Okay, let's move forward and talk about the functions of it. Revenue receipts and payments. First, very basic role on behalf of the center or the state government. Pension payment also, which is related to the center and the state. So functions, remember the functions that this could be asked. Or any other work which has been delegated by the RBI itself, the parent bank. If it tells the bank agent bank to do so, it will do it. Then let's talk about Ubharte Sitaare fund. Ubharte Sitaare fund is under the Ministry of Finance. Why? Because it is with respect to micro, small and medium enterprises, and the name reflective of micro, small and medium enterprises that are the backbone of the economy. Lot of export, lot of employment is provided by MSMEs. So micro, small and medium enterprise, this is investment and this is turnover. Okay, so micro banks have an investment of 1 CR, turnover of 50 CR. CR is crore. Then micro, small has investment of 5 crores and turnover of 50 crore. Remember this classification. Then medium enterprises, these have investment of 10 crore and turnover of 250 crore. Turnover of 250 crore. Okay, so remember this 1, 5, 10 like this. Micro, small, medium, investment 1 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore, turnover 5 crore, 50 crore and 250 crore. So this is the new classification of micro, small and medium enterprises. They can be on the basis of manufacturing and services both. Okay, services is different, just have a look at them. The investment fund is launched to help the small, medium and small and medium enterprises, and the aim is to enhance India's competitiveness in select sectors, because very importantly these banks, they work in small local rural areas, and the rural areas might be specializing in something. So in order to increase employment with respect to that specialty and increase exports in that specialty, this has been done. Let's talk about the fund. It is set up by Exim Bank and SIDBI. SIDBI is Small Industries Development Bank of India. It comes under the Ministry of Finance. Okay, Ministry of Finance itself. And one thing more to remember here is that it takes into account the regulating of the MSMEs, and it was established on 2nd April 1990. Okay, 2nd April 1990. Remember that. Okay, let's move forward. Fund is expected to identify the Indian enterprises with potential advantage by the way of technology products and process along with export potential. What is the technology and what is the potential of exports? How much we can get foreign reserves, okay, foreign exchange. And fund is a mix of structured support, both financial is there and advisory services will also be provided. Investment in equity, equity-like instruments, debt, both funded and non-funded, technical assistance, advisory services, grants and soft loans to the Indian companies. This is something to be remembered, okay. Exim Bank and SIDBI, they have developed a pipeline of over 100 potential companies. Remember these names, SIDBI and Exim Bank, Ubharte Sitaare. These include those in Uttar Pradesh. We have different segments, pharma, auto components, engineering solution, agriculture is also covered under it. Remember that. Now, let's talk about e-RUPI, that is the digital payment system. What is it? Now, National Payment Corporation of India has launched electronic voucher based. This is voucher based digital payment system by the name of e-RUPI. Who has launched it? NPCI, remember that. Okay. Already many countries are using the voucher. Name those countries. US, Colombia, Chile, Sweden, Hong Kong. Take a screenshot, very important. And what is e-RUPI? It is a cashless and contactless method for digital payment. That means digital transactions are on the rise. And it does not require the beneficiary to have a bank account. This is a prelims fact, remember. Does e-RUPI need the beneficiary to have a bank account? No. Okay. And it is operable on basic phones. It can be used by persons who do not own a smartphone. Very important prelims fact. If I do not have a smartphone, I can also use e-RUPI. Okay. So working of e-RUPI can be done by quick response or QR code, quick response code, or SMS also. SMS, QR both will work. It will provide a string of the e-voucher. It can be delivered to the mobile of the users, and the users will be able to redeem the voucher with a card, without a card, digital payment app or internet banking. So these three are not required for redeeming the voucher. Remember that. And it connects the sponsors of services. If any bank is sponsoring the services, they will be connected with the beneficiary and the service providers in a digital mode without any physical interface, purely digital. And it ensures that payment to service provider is made only after the transaction is completed. Remember that as well. Okay, not before, not in the middle, after. And system is prepaid in nature. Remember that as well. Not postpaid but prepaid. Assures timely payment to service provider without involvement of any intermediary. No intermediary at all. Okay, let's talk about crypto ATMs. Very important. So, Bitcoin ATM, these are known as Bitcoin ATM. Bitcoin is a very important in the sense a country has also named it as its legal tender. That is El Salvador. And Central African Republic, remember that. Central African Republic is the second country to designate Bitcoin as its legal tender. First, everybody will ask. Second, UPSC might ask. Legal tenders cannot be refused by any citizens of the country for settlement of any kind of transaction. That is why they are very in fashion. If 500 rupees note, the previous one, the yellow one, it failed as a legal tender after demonetization. Why? Because it did not have the support of the government. Okay. And cryptocurrency was created by, it is said that it is created by Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay. And Bitcoin is original and most popular currency of all digital coins. We have Dogecoin, many other coins as well, Ethereum, Ripple, many other. Bitcoin is based on blockchain technology. It creates block after every transaction which cannot be altered, and it is transparent in nature. That is why it is very in the vogue. It is secured by advanced cryptography, and that can offer users degree of anonymity as well as transparency. If it is altered, it can't be altered first of all. If it is, then the entire blockchain will have an impact on it. Bitcoin is held in virtual wallets. This is a virtual currency, and there is no central authority governing it. Now, Bitcoin's value bubbles up, comes down because of people's confidence. It is not backed by any government's assurance or any underlying asset. So, no underlying asset is there. There is only faith. Okay. So, let's talk about crypto ATM. These ATMs, they offer users the option to buy and exchange cryptocurrency with fiat money, that is currency note. I want to buy bitcoins worth ₹100. I will go and invest that money, and I will get cryptocurrency in return for that. Produces blockchain based transaction, and that sends cryptos to users' digital wallet, often through QR codes first. And crypto ATMs use internet based cryptocurrency portal to manage transaction. Remember that as well. Also, if users deposit their cash and the machine, it converts the cash into crypto. Then the machine sends funds to users' Bitcoin wallet when user sends and receive all her Bitcoin fund. So this is something that is very interesting right now. Also, let's talk about India and cryptocurrency, which India has a very rough past with cryptocurrency. As it is saying, we are taking care of the internal security. We are taking care of the economy. So we don't want any sort of parallel system that is running along with the central banking system. So, the transaction of cryptocurrency in India was banned in 2018 through a circular issued by the Reserve Bank of India. After that, many legal problems were there with respect to this decision, and Supreme Court has quashed the order of 2018 circular of the RBI. Government has now started to tax cryptocurrency and also wanting to have its own digital currency. So, complete ban on cryptocurrency was asked by the RBI, which is not possible right now. Government of India has already brought out a bill, wants to have its digital currency by the year 2023. Okay, this is the deadline. And the country's first Bitcoin ATM was interestingly launched where? In Bengaluru itself. Remember this very well, in 2018. Moving on, let's look at the previous year question. Which one of the following statements correctly describes the meaning of legal tender money? Okay, the money which is tendered in courts of law to defray the fees of legal cases, the money which a creditor is under compulsion to accept in settlement of his claims, and the bank money in the form of checks, drafts, bill of exchange, metallic money in circulation in a country. Okay, let's talk about anti-dumping duty. Dumping means like a dustbin, we are using some country to dump our goods, and it creates havoc in the economy for the manufacturers of those economy. So, India has imposed anti-dumping duty on, of course, whom? 5 Chinese products for 5 years. Imposition is based on the recommendation of Directorate General of Trade Remedies. Remember this, okay? Who does it? Who recommends such things? The Directorate General of Trade Remedies. Purpose is, of course, to protect local markets from dumping activities. Why? China has a huge potential with respect to promoting and manufacturing the goods which are of low cost. Quality is nothing for them. And countries which are middle income countries like India, they want to have all the sorts of new digital things or some sorts of goods which is lesser in amount. So what do? They create a market over here and then they dump those goods. But it creates a problem for the local manufacturers because they are providing us good quantity of goods. That is why we have good quantity as well as quality of goods. Although it might cost a little more than the dumped goods, but it will of course help our economy as well. So the duties have been imposed on these things: certain flat rolled products of aluminium, sodium hydrosulfide, which is used in dye industry, silicon sealant, solar voltaic modules and thermal power application they are used in, hydrofluorocarbons, which is component R32, and hydrofluorocarbon blends. Remember these names. This could be directly asked in prelims. Remember the names, I'm telling you. Moving on, let's talk about more of it. Anti-dumping duty. Dumping is said to occur when the goods are exported by a country to another country at a very low price. That means dump it. And then this is unfair trade practice. It can have a distortive effect on the local manufacturing or the international trade as well. Not only local but international trade. Anti-dumping duty is a protectionist tariff. Remember this name very well. It is protectionist because it is protecting the country, and that is a domestic government. When a domestic government, it imposes on foreign imports that it believes are priced below fair market value. Very good thing to remember. It is an instrument of fair competition, is permitted by the World Trade Organization. Now, it could be a question, anti-dumping duty is not permitted by the World Trade Organization. No, it is. It is permitted by the WTA. Okay, now let's know about DGTR, that is Directorate General of Trade Remedies. Remember the year of formation, 1998, sometimes directly the year can be asked. It was established as the Director General of Anti-Dumping and Allied Duties. The purpose is to ensure that domestic industries are protected from the unfair trade practices, and it works alongside, remember this word again, alongside the Department of Commerce, under which ministry? Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Remember that very well. It could be Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs. No, Ministry of Commerce and Industries. Okay, so I hope I tried to cover everything possible in this episode. Next time we will bring more content with respect to economy. Thank you so much for watching.